Welcome back to the Inside Games Roundup, the only gaming variety show brave enough to summarize a week's worth of news for a week that had no news.
That's right, it was a pretty slim week, but our good buddy Brian did some digging and actually managed to find some news worth talking about. You might notice that I'm in a different environment. I am currently in Amsterdam, enjoying the Dutch right before we go to Gamescom. Hopefully I can get some good game journalism done there. And speaking of the one man who knows everything about going Dutch, Brian Garr, tell us about the week's news.
Hey, we're back. And first off, shout out to everybody I saw at QuakeCon. Met a lot of Inside Games fans a couple weeks ago, so it was very nice meeting everybody. But yes, let's talk about the news and Battlefield 6. The open beta has barely begun, but the cheaters are already out in force. Now, the PC test does require players to enable a hardware-level security measure along with EA's Javelin anti-cheat system, but that hasn't stopped clips of cheaters from spreading online. One got more than 5.8 million views on Twitter.
Yep, DICE producer Alexia Christofian confirmed the player in that clip has already been banned. EA said systems have blocked 330,000 cheating or tampering attempts so far, with players reporting 44,000 suspected cases on day one and another 60,000 next day. The company says it's continuing to improve its anti-cheat measures and urges players to keep reporting offenders.
The beta is doing very well, though. It's in its second weekend now. Just about hit 400K this weekend. Last weekend, it hit over 500K, which is awesome. That makes it the platform's third most played game, the platform being Steam. Full game is set for release in October. God, I hope cheaters don't ruin it, man. I'm a simpleton with online games. When somebody just absolutely annihilates me, I just assume they're so much better at me than at the game that there's no point. But it turns out like 6 out of 10 times they're cheaters. So that sucks. You gotta believe in the integrity of the game, man.
Apparently that secure boot thing that they're making everybody use to install Battlefield 6 doesn't make it for cheaters to cheat easier. It just makes the banning easier, so they can find them easier and they can ban them. So we'll probably get exposed to cheaters in Battlefield for, quite a long time, but hopefully they'll get banned right away.
All right, moving on. Marvel Rivals has built a big audience since launching last year, but its latest swimsuit skins have sparked a new wave of chatter and the dreaded, well, maybe not dreaded, depending on how you feel about it, Gooner game label.
Yeah, the free-to-play hero shooter kicked off strong with a bunch of Marvel favorites and lots of cosmetics and some very thick thighs, but the recent Summer Party swimsuit event featured some, pretty revealing outfits for characters like Psylocke and Mantis, who are they've already got assets, we'll say that. Some players are saying that the game is leaning a little too hard into fan service, is the polite term.
I disagree. There was also The Thing and The Thong, which of course went viral and was redubbed The Thong, which, by the way, amazing. Give me more.
I think that's the most popular one, too, or at least in my heart, it should be. Asked about the Gooner criticism in an interview with the channel Rivals Assembled, game director Guan Chen said that the designs draw from, quote, classic comic themes. Honestly, he's not wrong about that, and that they mix in more fashionable designs to appeal to players.
He's right. He's right. Sex isn't bad, as long as it's a little bit glamorous, and Marvel Rivals is very good at that. Chen also pointed to the seasonal storylines, like the Krakoa Resort theme, as an inspiration for the costumes, and said that he's, quote, very grateful these designs have been well received by the majority of players.
Well received. The summer special events ends today, so get those Gooner skins while you can. I don't play Marvel Rivals, but I kind of want to log in and get those skins.
I don't know. It's okay for games to be sexy. I feel like we've gone through a wave of austerity. I don't know. It feels like culture at large kind of is on this pendulum swing. It's okay for things to be sexy. It's okay to find them sexy. It's okay for sexy to be appealing. I feel like we went through about a decade where that was just kind of kind of wordlessly villainized. But I'm glad it's back, baby. As long as it's done the right way, and the right way means everybody gets to be sexy, not just the ladies, but Thing is out there being loud and proud and wide and heavy, and we love it.
We're a thing positive show. Let's move on and talk about Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, and players are not happy about its latest update. The Souls-like game that's set in an alternate history of the Ming Dynasty released its 1.5 patch earlier this week, and alongside technical tweaks, the update quietly made a major story change. Players can no longer kill certain bosses and NPCs that are based on real-life historical figures, and instead, those characters now collapse in exhaustion. I guess they get knocked out, Pokemon style, sometimes delivering new dialogue to explain why they're still alive.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. The change appears to have reworked entire story beats. Modder Lance McDonald called it, quote, actual censorship, in a thread on X, claiming it was done in response to pressure from Chinese players unhappy about killing historically significant figures. He pointed out that some chapters are now easier because half the enemies are non-hostile, and criticized the impact on the game's central theme of impermanence.
Very interesting. Yes, players blasted Steam with negative reviews, as they tend to do in this situation, saying the altered plot undermines character motivations and changes the tone of the story. Reviewer No Ray Bongdancer wrote, quote, plot change made the story completely different and even some of the characters' motivation pointless. I have decided to stop playing for now. Interesting. Very interesting. I mean, I've been waiting, trying to decide how deep to get into this, because movie culture has been massively influenced by the Chinese market. I was waiting for it to hit games. Once Black Myth hit, I thought we were going to see a lot of games that consciously tried to lean into that market. Wu Chong is a pretty obvious example. It's interesting now that the cultural aspects are starting to become considered a negative. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But the thing is, no matter what, any product is changed to sell to a market. It's just in the United States, we're used to it being changed to sell to us. So now that we have to witness it being altered for other cultures, that feels a lot different.
Never forget John Cena apologizing for whatever it was, Fast and Furious or some movie, and he's Bing Chilling. Never forget.
Bing Chilling. All
right, and let's talk about Blizzard and Unionization. Blizzard's story and franchise development teams, those are the folks behind the studio's very well-loved cinematics, the trailers, cutscenes, and other narrative work. They have voted to unionize with the Communication Workers of America, the union recently announced.
The move is another chapter in a wave of organizing within Activision Blizzard and its parent company, Microsoft. In recent years, multiple Blizzard teams have unionized under Microsoft's labor neutrality agreement, including the entire World of Warcraft staff last year and Overwatch developers this past May. Other company unions include Raven Software Workers, ZeniMax QA, and the Bethesda Union.
Story and franchise developments ranks also include archival staff and historians, making it a big part of Blizzard's creative pipeline. Man, to be a union historian. What a union video game historian. What a moment.
Organizing committee member and principal editor and Captain America's best friend Bucky Fisk said, after more than a decade working at Blizzard, I've seen all the highs and lows. For years, Blizzard has been a place where people could build their careers and stay for decades, but that stability has been fading. With the union, we're able to preserve what makes this place special, secure real transparency in how decisions are made, and make sure policies are applied fairly to everyone.
My only concern is that whenever there are layoffs, people bring up unions as the antidote, and it's not quite like that. Unions can't prevent layoffs from happening. They do give collective bargaining power to employees, but bad stuff still happens, and can still even happen within a union. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. It is a win for workers, and I'm not questioning that. I'm just looking forward to whatever drama happens after this.
Yeah, like I'm also very pro-union. I've also noticed that in some industries, it happens when things are getting worse and worse. Like in newspapers, there's a big wave of unionization, but it's almost like we're trying to just hold on to anything left. So I hope it works out. I hope they get everything they're asking for. But yeah, it's also, I'm sure, a response to all these layoffs and the industry kind of slowing down.
At least with games, there is a verifiable giant pot of gold that is kept from the workers, and that much is like obvious thanks to public disclosure. Whereas, newspapers, you're not fighting over a big hill of money anymore.
No, there's no gold. All right, let's talk about Steam. And users in several countries are pissed because they can't pay with PayPal, and that sucks.
The issue, which began in early July, affects payments made in any currency other than euros, British pounds, US dollars, and Japanese yen, as well as Australian and Canadian dollars. Players in affected regions have been seeing PayPal is currently unavailable messages for over a month.
Yeah, Valve says it's because one of PayPal's acquiring banks abruptly stopped processing Steam transactions in certain currencies. Suspicious.
They said they hope to restore PayPal support in the future, but haven't given a timeline. In the meantime, they're looking at adding other payment options, and they also suggest using Steam wallet codes or existing payment methods. Yeah, no shit. Of course they're going to try that.
Well, we all know the reason for this. A Valve spokesperson told Rock Paper Shotgun that the change is tied to the same content-related concerns the company previously linked to MasterCard, though they didn't say when or if PayPal access for the affected currencies will return, because all these motherfuckers are in league, and they always are. They're all talking to each other. MasterCard, Visa, PayPal, it's all the same shit. It's all the same 10 people. And they're all, I promise you, if one of them decides to cut off, then it's going to happen to everybody else.
I don't understand why is it only some currencies and not others, you know? That's an intellectual curiosity. It's still fucked up that any kind of external pressure on financial institutions affects the games we play and the way that we're able to pay for them. But it's weird that it's only like the most popular currencies are still supported. So it's a weird strike against that. Or I don't know, maybe they were able to convince one of the specifically the banks that process those currencies to be upset about it, whereas the other banks, they weren't. Very bizarre, but still not great.
All right, let's do a 5-second review. All right, so I was on vacation. That's where I've been the last few weeks. And so I've been on a plane a lot. And I got re-addicted to Slay the Spire on my phone. It was already, I think, like the perfect game. But on mobile, it's still good. You can play in airplane mode. Mwah! 1,000,000 stars. Slay the Spire is so great. I even did the true ending. Didn't pay attention to my family. It was awesome.
All right, moving on. You know, Inside Games is on your side. That's right. Free games coming up this week. Epic, totally reliable delivery service, and Hidden Folks are free on the Epic Game Store.
Yeah, Amazon Prime's got a few for you. Necro King, Fate, The Traitor Soul, and Filthy Animals Heist Simulator, and 10 Hearts are all available for free this week. So that's 6 games you can scoop up. That's pretty exciting.
Let's move on to the upcoming games coming out this week. First up, Horde Lord. It's a high-octane arena shooter where you face waves of nasty enemies. Use destructive weapons and high mobility to secure your spot on global leaderboards. Expect tight gunplay, satisfying kills, and meaningful upgrades. It comes to PC August 18th.
Sword of the Sea. Surf across magnificent waves of sand and glistening waters on an epic quest to restore a lost ocean. From the visionary artist behind Abzu, The Pathless, and Journey, Sword of the Sea is an atmospheric surfing adventure with fast movement inspired by classic skateboarding and snowboarding games. Comes to the PS5 and PC August 19th.
Next up, we got Core.sys. This is a brain-teasing action puzzler where you'll need to break through layers of digital security with quick thinking strategy. Move your cursor around a 5x5 grid of alphanumeric key panels. Use your scanning ability to identify the next piece of code needed and select that panel to complete the code sequence, thus bypassing security and gaining access to pussy. The next layer. Core.sys comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and the Switch on August 20th.
You're going to have to be beating off the ladies, let me tell you. There's going to be a lot of them. Althea, The Wrath of a Fury. It's a fantasy adventure game where a sword-wielding guardian and an arcane monk must learn to work together to defeat the void corrupting their home. Explore ruined temples, solve environmental puzzles, rescue spirits, and defeat giant void monsters. Comes to PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on August 21st.
Blast Rush LS. Have you ever played a difficult shoot 'em up and wished for just one more bomb? Blast to your heart's content in Blast Rush LS, a fresh, explosive experience with infinite bombs, other powerful abilities, and extra challenges that demand more than just big booms. Escaping an exploding mothership is not easy after all. Comes to PC August 21st.
Discounty. I love portmanteaus. Manage your own discount supermarket. Get caught up in small town drama. Organize and plan your shop's layout and strike lucrative trade deals as you expand your secretive ant's business empire. Selling more frozen fries will surely heal this broken community.
most.
Right. Discounting comes to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC on August 21st.
And then finally, Herdling. Guide a herd of mysterious creatures on a stirring and beautiful journey into the mountains and beyond. That's it. That's all there is. It comes to PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC on August 21st.
Let me tell you, it is a personal delight to be able to talk with these fine gentlemen and gab about video games while on the road from all the dark corners of the planet. And we have a few people to thank for that, namely you for watching this episode. Thank you for the support. And there's a couple of people that went the extra mile and decided to support us directly through Patreon. We'd like to shout them out now. John Warren Gallardi, Jack Willis, and Talia Monochrome. Thank you so much for the support.
Thank you very much for sending Lawrence to Germany. Brown Sugar, Scotty Ryan, and Rook. We appreciate that. That's a joke, guys. You didn't actually do that.
I've already had a pretzel and a doner kebab. So, Dankeschön. And 5 beers. Ooh.